When this little kitten was brought to the vet's office, no one knew if he would make it. This kitten had a very rare condition, and luckily the vet knew exactly what to do. Now he's looking for his forever home. A tiny kitten was recently given a second chance at life after it was discovered that he had a serious ailment. The kitten's name is Roger, and he's absolutely darling. Roger was brought over to Kern County Animal Services with an enlarged head and an eye infection. When Dr. Arnold took a closer look at the kitten, she realized that he had a very serious condition. An enlarged head is not something to overlook. The condition is called hydrocephalus, and it literally means water in the brain. It can be pretty fatal if left untreated. According to vetstreet.com, the condition puts a lot of pressure on the brain. This is because of the buildup of fluid inside the skull. This condition was greatly impacting poor Roger. Because of his condition, Roger was having problems getting adopted. It seems that people weren't very keen on adopting a kitten with an oversized head. This is when Dr. Arnold came into the picture. One of the ways to help treat hydrocephalus is to minimize damage to the brain by getting rid of the extra fluid in the head. According to catster.com, vets can achieve this by prescribing certain medications to the kitten. However, sometimes that isn't enough. However, if there happens to be a tumor in the brain from the condition, medication won't help. In that case, the vet has to surgically remove the tumor and lessen the swelling that way. On the bright side, many kittens that are born with hydrocephalus respond very well to treatment. In fact, many of them continue to live long and healthy lives. Roger happens to be no exception to the rule. Dr. Arnold immediately noticed that Roger had a very strong will to continue living. He hasn't let his condition bring him down at all. He tackles life and gets stronger every day, Dr. Arnold said. Dr. Arnold quickly got around to treating Roger, and the kitten is doing great. He was so grateful to Dr. Arnold that he wouldn't stop purring and cuddling in her lab coat pocket. Finally, it was time to find Roger a foster home where he could be watched until being adopted. He has been enjoying life so much at his foster home and absolutely adores being snuggled. This little guy came into the shelter tiny, but Roger isn't letting any of that slow him down. He's in foster care, getting stronger every day. Luckily, things turned out great for Roger, but he isn't the first kitten to deal with a bad case of hydrocephalus. Kevin was only a tiny kitten when Taylor, a vet nurse, fell head over heels for him. He was found in a parking lot when he was only 4 weeks old and was taken to the vet. Kevin had an odd-shaped head, and that's what prompted the vet visit. Kevin was diagnosed with the same problem that Roger had, hydrocephalus. Unfortunately, Taylor was warned that Kevin wouldn't make it past 5 months. Taylor refused to accept that reality. It is a fancy word for fluid on the brain. It is a serious condition and can impact sight, hearing, and brain function. Kev is a total characteristic of this, as he is not completely blind and deaf, and to put it gently, he's very special, Taylor told Love Meow. I fell in love with him straight away and knew I had to give him a chance. I told myself that even if he passed away, I gave him all the loving I could, Taylor said. However, Kevin was stronger than everyone thought. No one, besides Taylor, expected Kevin to be so perseverant about staying alive. The kitten had a real desire to live and continued to fight the ailment. Eventually, Kevin passed 6 months of living, stunning everyone. He's very little for his age. His favorite thing in the whole world is playing in his man cave, and he loves cuddles, Taylor told Love Meow. His man cave is the name we've given to his own personal balcony that has been enclosed and fitted with a cat door. He is the happiest, funniest, silliest little kid I know, and I'm so glad I was able to give him a chance at life, a chance he grabbed with both paws and ran with. Taylor is so grateful and states that special needs kitties are amazing because they give back all the love they get. 5 years later, and he's still my best little love bug. Kevin has surpassed the odds by a lot. Thanks to dedicated vets and caregivers, these 2 cats have managed to have a wonderful second chance at life.
This story was really incredible, but you will like the next one more.
Man finds freezing hummingbirds in his garage. What he does next is truly amazing. In the freezing cold days, it's surprising to hear bird songs, but Anna's hummingbirds are very courageous and won't always travel south to warmer places. Instead, some remain in the cold north and adjust their bodies to a state of torpor. These tiny creatures can't survive freezing temperatures on their own. That's why they usually depend on special feeders left outside by kind people. One day, this man had a great idea to help 2 freezing hummingbirds. You'll be surprised to see how things turned out. These amazing-looking birds hold a lot of records. Not only they're the smallest birds in the world, but they also build the smallest nests and lay the smallest eggs in the world. They also beat their wings 90 times per second and eat a lot. Here's how our story starts. It was one freezing day when a man in Phoenix found 2 hummingbirds flying around his house. He was eager to help the little guys, and that's when he came up with this amazing idea. These 2 little hummingbirds were on their way to a warmer climate when they got stuck in Sedona, Arizona, and encountered a cool atmosphere. Probably surprised by the weather and freezing in the cold outdoors, they wouldn't have survived on their own. Thankfully, this man came to the rescue in the most heartwarming way. In such a freezing weather, the man saw these 2 birds and came up with a plan. He took out his bird feeder to help the tiny feathered beings. But the nectar was frozen, so he had to do something until even the birds froze to death. You won't believe what he did next. Fortunately for us, he also filmed everything and posted it on YouTube. Next, he set up a heating pad to keep the nectar warm, but he never thought that the birds would actually do this. The hummingbirds easily found out that the bird feeder was full of food and that the place was warm enough to get some rest. The birds received names. Adrian is the female and Rocky is the male. You won't believe why he chose these names for his new feathery friends. Even though the temperature in his garage was way warmer than outside, the nectar was still cold. Something had to be done, so he came up with this sweet idea. After the man saw that the birds enjoyed the warmth of the heating pad, he thought a hairdryer would also be a good idea. And you won't believe it, but just look at how patient they are around that warm air and loud dryer noise. The next photo will leave you in awe. It seems that Rocky and Adrian were very cold and hungry to remain calm in such a noise. Even a dog would run away from it. It's so wonderful to see people helping even the tiny animals to survive. Here's why Blue Sky named the birds Adrian and Rocky. It's so sweet. Wondering how Blue Sky came up with the names? He got inspired by the award-winning film, Rocky. So, the birds are movie stars, and seeing how these 2 birds have been through the rough weather, the names fit them like a glove. After a while, the story went viral. Here's what the man has to say about this beautiful moment. In his video description, he even talked about his experience with the birds. My roommate took the photos of me with the hummingbirds and I took the individual hummingbird pictures and the video using a flip video camera. All you need is some kindness and a camera to share these amazing moments. And that's not all. The YouTube user Blue Sky made a lot of people happy. It wasn't his obligation to help the birds, and we're sure that his kind gesture was noticed. Adrian and Rocky looked very thankful, and the man surely saw it too. A good deed like this one might have just saved the birds' lives. He also made a couple of friends now. You can watch the full story on his YouTube channel and see how friendly these birds are around him. Just look at how happy Rocky is in the next photo. Animals cannot communicate with us, but these birds showed their affection and gratitude to the man that saved them and gave them warm nectar. Check out the cute tiny birds in the next photos. These birds are very beautiful and mesmerize us with their bright and glittering colors. They're very curious and love to spend summers in eastern states where they breed. After that, they head south towards Central America to spend the winter, unless they get stuck in the north like these birds from our story did. Blue Sky surely made a couple of friends in the meantime. Can you believe that Adrian is perched on his hand and eats from the feeder? This guy is definitely a prince from a Disney animation. If you love all kinds of animals, then you can support birds too by setting up a bird feeder. Just find out what kind of birds you have around, and after setting up the feeder, you can spend hours watching them zip around. Not only hummingbirds are very beautiful, but they are also friendly and their chirps make your days so wonderful. You can plant flowers or get the potted ones outside in the summer to feed the hummingbirds. And if you don't have any, set up a feeder. Here's what they usually like. You can make the syrup recipe all by yourself, 1 part white cane sugar and 4 parts tap water, and it will be a good place to hang them near a garden or windows, but not too close to windows. You should also clean them every time you fill the feeders. Birds can easily fly away and never come back to a place, and that's why it's so nice to hear a chirp once in a while. It means that spring has come. But Anna's hummingbirds remain in cold weather too, sometimes being unable to travel to warm places. It's so great to see people like this man who saved and fed Adrian and Rocky. We hope to see more from Blue Sky, and maybe the hummingbird couple will also be around in the summer.